Hey guys, welcome back to the Dating Games podcast. This podcast is designed to help you navigate the complex world that is modern dating. As you know, from healing heartbreak to setting boundaries, building confidence, and just becoming an all-around better person for all of your relationships. I'm your host, Nathalie Lennon, and we are back with Brian Keane. If you missed our last episode with him, you have to go and feast your ears on it. It was incredible. He was so emotionally vulnerable, and I'm going to introduce him once more. An online fitness coach, he hosts one of Ireland and the UK's top health podcasts, which is regularly featured at #1 on the iTunes health charts. He is a 3-time best-selling author, an incredible athlete as well. I should put that out there. But in this episode, we're just going to have a little bit more fun, quick-fire dating questions. Are you ready, Brian?
Oh, I'm ready. Bring it on, Nat.
It's a pleasure to have you back. Okay, I'm going to go in straight away. What was your worst first date?
I've had a few bad first dates. My worst one was mainly because I felt like I was on a different date to the girl. I matched this girl on Tinder when I was living in London about 12 years ago. I used to work as a primary school teacher in London. And I matched this girl from Malaysia. And we went out to Clapham in London to meet for a drink. And I remember it was great for about 5-10 minutes. The usual, how are you? What do you do?
Yeah.
You know, she was pretty. And then it was about 50 minutes of like silence where neither of us wanted to pick up and go and leave because we literally met
15 or 50?
50, 50, where it would be like, so the weather's nice.
Sorry, was there a band playing here?
Nope. We were just in a bar, other people in a bar. And I was 23, so I wasn't as secure at just picking up and going. Like I would never waste mine or someone else's time if I met somebody now and wasn't interested or felt there was no vibe. I would have picked up and be like, look, this isn't really working. I'm sorry, but I'm going to go. I value my time and I value yours. I don't want to waste it.
It's only after you ignore your good a few times you then listen to it in the future.
100%. But sitting there awkward, and then after it was a full-on hour for the whole date. And I was thinking, Jesus Christ, that was the most uncomfortable experience. I felt like do you know when you're sitting in church when you were a kid and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so bored. Like you're like 7 and the priest is giving a sermon and you're just like, oh my God.
If I behaved in church, I would have got a Kinder Egg afterwards. Only reason I behaved.
Smart. Good parenting. Fair enough. Yeah. But long story short, I went home, went into my house to my 4 flatmates. I was like, oh my God, that was the worst first date. Fucking hell. She messaged me going, had a lovely time. When can I see you again?
Oh my goodness.
And I remember at the time thinking, we were on 2 different dates. I was like, what date were you on?
Yeah.
Like, so that was my worst one. I've had other ones that were like the usual catfish where I'm like, oh, you don't look like your photos.
Yeah.
But that was the most uncomfortable because time really stretches when you don't have anything to talk about and you're not confident enough in yourself to pick up and leave.
Every minute feels like an eternity.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, sorry, this is Brian's quickfire, but I'm going to add in one quick story here.
Please do.
Worst first date. He didn't drive. That's fine. Totally fine if you don't drive. Got the bus down. Right. We're stuck together now for a few hours until the next bus. But like we seem to get on great messaging, so it should be okay. First time meeting. I wasn't necessarily looking for a serious relationship, but I was also just trying to put myself back out there. So I'm in the local cafe and he literally is waiting there. So he got off the bus, went to the cafe, and he had a bunch of roses, but they weren't normal roses. They were like really, like not fake. They had, what's the word? There's a word for this when you like altar flowers. They were like unicorn roses. They were unicorn coloured. So white with unicorn colours all around them. And hands me this in the local cafe. And I'm like, oh, the ground swallow me up. And like that, he was on a different date to me because we got in the car, we drove out to this lake to go for a swim. I feel like this is going great. Like, so he did strong Dublin accent. It's going great. I really like you. I've never been able to open up to anyone like this before. I'm really bad at doing accents. Anyway, lovely guy, just not my cup of tea. And I'm there going, this is not going great. Like, when is 3:30 coming? Because I feel so uncomfortable right now. He opened up to me about his past and started crying, which is like, I love emotional people, but I just wasn't ready for that. And I literally had to tell him when we were going to get into the lake for a swim. I was like, listen, I feel like I need to tell you, like, I'm not really feeling this like that. And I was so glad I did because he was like, oh, I thought things were going really good. Like that, completely 2 different pages. But I was glad I vocalized it there and then, so there was no awkward, he's going in for a kiss and I'm like, no, a moment. Do you know what I mean? Because he did say, I'm glad you told me because I would have tried to kiss you. And I would have, I just would have died. I was like, can't.
Oh, it's those misalignments are the worst ones because I've been on bad dates before where I'm just like, it's the one where
I don't understand how two people don't pick up on how the other is feeling.
Completely agree.
Are we just that bad at showing how we feel sometimes? Are we too good at masking emotions?
Yeah, 100. Well, my
Perhaps.
23-year-old self definitely was 100%. Yeah.
Okay, the most romantic thing you ever did for someone?
Probably dinner on the Eiffel Tower for her birthday.
Oh wow,
Yeah, that was a good one.
setting the standard for the men out there.
Sorry, lads.
The most romantic thing you've ever had done to you or for you? Maybe not to you.
My first serious girlfriend when I was 21. This seems like a small thing, but it meant so much to me at the time. I was living in London and she was in Sligo, and I remember coming home to see her for the weekend and just expecting to get the usual bus all the way to Sligo, and she was literally there as I came off, like one of the arrival things.
Oh.
And I was just like, I hadn't seen her in 2 weeks, and like she was amazing. She was a great person, and I remember just my heart just burst. That was lovely. That was
sometimes
definitely
like that was a big thing, but it's only like the little things sometimes mean more. Like the things that show more sentiment than finances. Sometimes, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you believe in soulmates?
I believe in soul contracts.
Explain that to me there.
I believe for someone that's very bro and very grounded, I'm very hippy dippy woo as well. I believe in soul contracts. I believe that we possibly have contracts that we've decided to fulfill in this realm that we made before we came here. I'm not religious, but I'm quite spiritual and do believe that, I'm not a human having an experience. I'm an experience having a human. And I think so.
That is powerful. I'm an experience having a human.
Yeah.
I like it.
It removes a lot of anxiety in my life for sure. I think.
Like this path was laid out for me. The people that I'm meeting and having these experiences with, it was nearly a contract signed in a time before me.
Yeah, that I find a lot of peace in that. Like I do believe, and this is one of my more far out things that people disconnect with, but I do believe we have a choice of free will, and we are like a chess piece on a chessboard, and we get to move once and then the universe moves around us. I find a lot of freedom and peace knowing that I can only control the move I make, and then the rest, whatever's meant for me, won't pass me.
Yeah, control the controllable thing.
Yeah.
3 characteristics you look for in a partner.
Honesty is top of that list.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Yes.
And more recently, probably emotional maturity.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's a never ending list. I think honesty nearly also ties into communication a little bit. This was a thread that you posted recently and I just really liked it. If your relationship with a partner, friend, or even your coach gets worse when you tell the truth, you're in the wrong relationship. So communication would be up there for me, but then emotional maturity, maybe number 2, and then kindness at number 3. Yeah, not that they're even in order, but I like that. They're very good.
Yeah.
Okay. The worst or most odd DM chat up you've ever received?
Oh, fuck. I got a lot of them, Nat.
You're going to get them now after this.
Oh, back in the day, I was a self-proclaimed ab selfie wanker, like one of those fitness influencers that posted up an ab selfie.
I did it myself every morning over to the mirror, like
100%.
Get into a really strange angle, hold your top up.
Yeah, 100%. We all did it.
Yeah.
It was part of it. But
character building experience.
It was a character building experience, but it also meant that some of the stuff you got in DMs were very peculiar. Like mine were from, there's obviously more than 2 genders, but primary genders, male and female, from both. I got a lot of, it's called muscle worship. Have you ever heard of that term?
No, but I think I know where it's going.
Yeah, I got a lot of muscle worship requests. People being like, will you either pose for me with like oil on and I'll send you money, or I got people asking, this was men actually more so than women, but some women asked for the muscle worship too. Will you wrestle me?
What?
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah.
Actually meet up with them and wrestle?
Yeah, and I'll pay you.
Is that like a fetish?
A fetish, as in I'll pay you. I'll give you money.
I did not know people had like a wrestling fetish.
Yeah, will you wrestle me?
Obviously they wanted to end one way, like.
I fuck those. I don't know. Like that's.
I thought you were going to tell us who went and did it there.
I know. I would have made for a better story and a better ending, but I feel like I'm going to keep that one quite anticlimactic because I don't know.
Oh my God, there is a new one. Okay, you actually mentioned in our last episode needs. You now recognize your needs in a relationship. You mentioned 3 kind of characteristic traits, 3 needs that you think you should have met in a relationship.
Interestingly, as in that I need met for me.
Yeah.
I need to be supported in what I do. I feel very mission and purpose driven with my work. And if I don't have that support for whatever reason, because someone's battling their own internal stuff and they can't, help me.
A lot of people can't support other people's growth and happiness.
Yeah.
I don't know if fame is the right word, but I relate to that. I would be the very same.
Yeah. And that's, you don't have to be, we had this discussion off air, you don't have to be a cheerleader. Like you don't have to be there and, do anything, just.
It's words of affirmation.
And allow me to do my thing without making me feel bad about it. Which is an interesting thing that I have only more recently discovered in recent years. Yeah. So that's one. A very obvious one that I think everyone can relate to is sexual needs. I think this is a bit more of a male thing, but it's a female thing too. I didn't consider this before, and you feel free to expand on this yourself, Nat. Sometimes, I've only ever been in a relationship once in my entire life where the sexual needs were nearly identical and parallel with one of my girlfriends, where it was nearly, we wanted it around the same time of the day, same amount of times a week.
I have never heard of that in a relationship before. And I've spoken to so many people about their relationships and I've never heard it to be the same. Maybe at the very beginning, everyone wants it just as much as each other. And then after a few months, I feel like it's typically the guy that wants it a lot more than the girl. Whether that's down to emotional differences or hormones, who knows? But yeah, I think it's important that those needs are met. Obviously it is, but that's where communication is going to be really important. I think people can build up a resent if their need is not being met. I think women can build up a resent if a guy continues to ask and she doesn't want it, but how is he supposed to know if she wants it unless he tries or asks? I think communication is often a huge missing link when it comes to the sexual side of a relationship.
I'd also argue from in education, knowing that women's sex drive will fluctuate depending on the time of the month with their menstrual cycle. I didn't know that a decade ago. And for what it's worth, that's only happened ever in one of my relationships in my life. And it was more than a decade ago where it was parallel. And we were going out for 2 years. And it was the same from week 1 to the week before we broke up.
Yeah.
It was the sexual, that was the area of the relationship that never changed. It was always the same. I've never experienced that before. It was always, mine was a little bit higher or theirs might have been a little bit higher.
Yeah.
It's normally the guy from my experience, but again, I don't want to project.
We've said that here before as well. Like, I do think it normally is. Normal is not always the case, but yeah. Okay, now I can't not ask you this question now. It was going to be my last one because it's going to be like a spicy one to finish. How often do you think a couple should be having sex?
As often as they both feel they should have.
Oh God, that's such a good answer. You're not giving me anything spicy there, but that is very true.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think otherwise you're projecting your own stuff onto it. And this is so individual to and subjective to a relationship. And what you mentioned earlier, Nat, I think is brilliant. It's communication.
Yeah.
Like they say sex, money and kids are the thing you should always communicate about. Like so that you're on the same page with things like that. Because they're like, it's amazing and we've got the Disney vibes of love and lust and all this. But realistically, any relationship I've been in that's ever been successful has had good communication around sex, good communication around money, and good communication around future, whether that's kids or where you want to be locationally or geographically. Yeah. Like they're not sexy things to talk about, but they're important.
And that good communication often comes with uncomfortable feelings and compromise on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think a lot of people are unwilling to compromise nowadays, and that's why a lot of relationships don't last or divorce rates are so high.
Yeah, I would imagine that is definitely a contributing factor. Again, I can't speak, it's outside my circle of competence, but I would imagine it's possibly a contributor.
Brian, this is a bit of a personal one, so I totally understand if you don't want to answer it. Have you ever been cheated on?
Not that I know of, thankfully.
Okay.
If I have, I don't know about it.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't wish it on anyone either. Same as you, don't think I have been, but there was lots of talk about someone having done that years and years ago. And it's very hard to even not be hurt by the talk. It really is. Your celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush? Jesus, who's my celebrity crush?
What colour hair has she?
I used to be a big movie and TV person.
Yeah.
But I don't watch fuck all of them. It's more live sports and I read loads. Scarlett Johansson was a big crush of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day when...
Usually guys say Emily Ratajkowski. Is that her name? Do you know of her?
No.
Okay, I'll show you her picture after, and I think most people are going to agree with me and say that she will now become your celebrity crush.
I did actually have a celebrity crush, but she reminds me of my ex-girlfriend now, so she's no longer a celebrity crush.
Moving on so swiftly. Okay, a relationship deal breaker for you. I suppose it's kind of a mix and like a mishmash between your needs being met and the characteristic traits. But is there one kind of deal breaker?
I can't handle rudeness in people.
Oh God, yeah.
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 And if they show that to other people, even if it's like they might be the kindest, I think something like this was said before, like you could be so kind to your other half, but then let's say when the waiter comes with the bill, if you treat them with rudeness, it's just such an unattractive trait.
I can't handle it in people, friendships, relationships.
Yeah.
It's a deal breaker across the board for
Any
me.
relationship in your life.
It costs
yeah.
nothing to be nice, and you don't know what or how you're impacting people in their day. Just if you can move to this world and be a little bit nicer and a little bit kinder to yourself and to others, you'll make the world a better place.
Yeah, and that's what you should want to do. Okay, my question is the shortest time it ever took you to fall in love, but maybe it should be how many times you were in love.
I was in love when I was 15, which is funny because people don't always count their teenage years, but that was the first time I have been cheated on. Yeah, I have been cheated on.
Were you 15?
I was 15. Yeah, she was 17.
Stop.
Yes, and it was.
I don't mean to smile. It's just the way it came back
yeah,
to you.
I completely forgot. I've completely suppressed memory. Some fucking Freudian slip there. Yeah, I have been. Yeah, and repeatedly. It was
Stop.
by loads. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. And again, like looking on it with my 36-year-old lens, I'm like, you're kids. Like you don't know what you're doing.
But when you are 15 or 16 and that happens, it's the end of the world.
It destroyed me. I remember coming home, Nat, and I destroyed her house. I was so angry. And I remember my sister, and I'll never forget her to this day, because she's 4 years younger than me, because our dad was quite a volatile character during that time, and he would have fucking killed me. And I destroyed the whole hallway. I was so angry when I found out.
As in like punching walls
punching walls, broke tables, everything. And my sister cleaned it all up before my dad got home.
Oh my God, your sister is a gem.
I don't know if I ever thanked her, so Karen, if you listen to this, so there's your public thanks for not getting me fucking whipped when I got home.
I do think when you're in your late teens, a lot of guys tend to have just more anger kind of circulating inside that they're bad at dealing with. I know of people, I won't say names, that have punched a few holes in walls as well. They would never do it now. But it was just because we were that bit younger and they didn't know how else to work through their emotions or take it out on something.
Yeah.
Your ideal first date.
I forgot your question before that because I went off on I was cheated on tangent. I don't know if I answered it.
Sorry, me too.
What was the question?
It was the relationship deal breaker. No, was it?
I don't know.
Have you ever been cheated on? Shortest time it ever took you to fall in love?
Shortest time it ever took me to fall in love. Oh, you asked how many times I fell in love, and that's where the 15-year-old came in.
Yeah.
I loved one of my first serious girlfriends too, but not wholeheartedly. And
it's a different type of love when you're that age.
It's a different type of love. And then my most recent, when I was engaged, was that I fell in love after a month. I told her after 2, and I thought I was going to spend my life with her after 3.
Oh my goodness.
Downer. This story doesn't end well. Let's go back, see previous episode.
Did you say I love you after 1 month?
No, I said after 2.
You said it after 2. Interesting.
I knew after 1.
Did you know 50% of breakups occur on a Monday?
A Monday? Oh yeah, because it's that like myth of Monday. Start your diet on a Monday. Start your new workout routine. It's like start your new life on a Monday.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And 42% of people wait a week to break up with their partner after making their mind up.
Do you know what's really interesting? We didn't talk about this in the last podcast, but just something that I didn't know that I think might be valuable for people because I didn't fucking know this. One of the really difficult things I struggle with off the back of the breakup, and I don't want to make this serious on a lighthearted episode, but it might be useful, is the person that does the breaking up has already pre-grieved and grieved part of the breakup before they've told you, because they've already established they're breaking up with you. They just haven't told you yet.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I didn't know this, and something that I struggled with was when your partner or ex-partner potentially moves on faster because they broke up with you, it's not because they don't love you. It's not. They've grieved already. It's a completely different, you're on different timelines in your journey. That information was very eye-opening to me, so I just wanted to share it here as well.
Brian, that's like such valuable information. And when you say it, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I can see that playing out in my past from me ending.
Both sides.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that is powerful. Have you ever had many complicated situationships?
I actually didn't know situationships was a word until December. But yes,
Until you were in one.
I wasn't though. That was I suppose I kind of was. Yeah. Not really in the last 7 or 8 years. One of my to a fault is probably my honesty, similar to the girl I mentioned on the other episode about telling her, look, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm happy to have sex and hook up, and I'm happy to go to the cinema with you and go out for food, but I don't want anything else.
Yeah.
And so I would be detrimentally honest, or honest to my detriment at times. So I've rarely fell into situationships because I was very upfront.
Yeah.
The same as when I met my partner at the time. I was like, look, I've done a lot of work and I'm ready for a relationship. And I was. The girl I was seeing before I met my ex-partner at the time, she wasn't the right one for me, but I knew I was ready for a relationship. And I told her that. I was like, I'm in a good place for a relationship. I was like, I've done a lot of work. I've been single for a few years. I'm now ready to take my next stage of healing and all of that in a relationship and work through it.
Yeah.
She didn't turn out to be, she was just a girl I was dating for a while.
Yeah. But you knew you were ready.
But I knew I was ready.
Self-awareness was key.
Yes. And the same on the opposite side. So by proxy of that, I haven't fallen into too many situationships.
Yeah. That just goes to show you how important communication is to protect yourself. Full stop. Your ideal first date. We didn't get that one. Because that's when we were like, we missed a question. Do you have an ideal, like the perfect first date that you would like to be taken on if she was to take the lead, or that you would set up?
I, for the last few years, and part of this was COVID based as well, forgot about how to have fun on dates. So something that's very high up on my list now is fun activities. And I've gone on friend dates with a couple of my female friends, like nothing romantic, but things that are like obstacle courses, and we're talking one of my girlfriends at the minute, girl/friend, about going zorbing, getting sumo suits and just playing just things that'll be fun. So my ideal first date now, although I do think you're always safer with a coffee and get to know somebody, I think really this is second date territory because you're just feeling somebody out to see if you even vibe. I struggle with dating apps and online because you just don't know what the vibe is like.
I'd get off a dating app as quick as possible. Yeah. Otherwise, I think I'm probably, maybe you're the same, like my time is so valuable. I don't want to waste it sending all these messages if this isn't someone I want to spend more time with.
And you know, what's so weird about a dating app is you can match 50 people, 100 people, message back and forth, and they're nothing with anyone. Yeah. Or you could walk down the street or into a gym or into a library or into wherever, and instantly there's a connection with somebody. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, like I remember even my ex, that's what happened. I remember seeing her and going, oh wow. And there was a pull. There was trauma tingles. There was we talked about it in the previous episode, but there was a pull.
Insert trauma tingle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was that was representative because I had come off dating apps months before that, and I said I'm going to meet somebody organically. So again, each to their own. Not saying dating apps don't work. Some people find great people on them, and there's definitely great people on them.
People marry from them and stay together for life.
100%.
But not everyone on a dating app wants the same things.
Yes.
Okay, we will leave it at this one because this is supposed to be a short, quick-fire episode, and that is going to be your best chat-up line.
I historically, and this worked all the time, and I only think it worked.
Men all around the country getting the notes app.
I don't think it. I don't think it did though. I don't think it was the chat-up line that was any good though. I think it was just that it was
the confidence.
It was the confidence in which I approached it. Yeah.
I think confidence is one of the most attractive traits.
Yes, I used the same outline or the same outcome, but used two different ways to use it. One was I would literally get an ice cube if I was near a bar, and I'd smash and go, well, that broke the ice. And then I'd introduce myself.
That's good.
Yeah, or I'd whisper in someone's ear and I'd go, do you know how much a polar bear weighs? And they'd say, no, I don't know. And I'd say, I don't know either, but it broke the ice. And then I'd introduce myself. So I don't think it's that either were good. It was just that
they were good icebreakers.
They literally.
And you know, confidence, yes, but also they weren't creepy. Guys, they weren't creepy. That's the key.
What's the creepiest one you got?
Do you know those standard ones like, what's that one about falling from heaven?
Oh yeah, that's cringe.
Got that in Coppers a few times.
Yeah, only Coppers would have it.
Someone
I feel like it's on the wall, it's on the toilet door surely, like for people to use when they go out.
Someone once sent me I actually didn't find this cringy. I found this very amusing and I was like, I respect the grind. He sent me a boyfriend CV application.
Yes.
So he literally sent the whole like boyfriend CV and his experience and his strong traits, and like it was very good. Like pastor, like this is a long DM. And I was a bit like, this is very creepy, but I have to I have to give you applause. But we are never going to meet up. Oh God. With that, Brian, thank you for joining me on another episode and for sharing more, I suppose, personal and sometimes vulnerable information. It's not easy. The people appreciate it. I appreciate it. If they didn't listen to the first episode, you have to. It was incredible. Just remind us once more where people can go and find you online if they want to.
Oh, thanks so much, Nash. Yeah, Brian Keane or Brian_Keane_fitness on Instagram and the Brian Keane podcast are kind of the two main things.
Brian, thank you so much. Guys, remember, if you're enjoying the podcast, subscribe, rate, share, drop me a DM. I love getting the feedback and stay tuned for the next one. I love you and I'll leave you.